Hi, Dr. Hasuna. I'm Holly Martinez. Thank you so much for answering our questions today about COVID-19 vaccines. You're an infectious disease specialist with Spectrum Health and are also on our GVSU virus action team. My question for you is, if you can still get COVID after being vaccinated, why should people get the vaccine?
Hi, Holly. This is actually a very good question. Well, the general rule is vaccines are not 100% protective, and you can still get an infection after getting your vaccine. Towards COVID, well, while you can still get COVID-19 infection after vaccination, however, the vaccine will decreases your risk of getting the infection and at the same time transmitting it to others. And eventually, this is our way to control the pandemic and get back to normal life. On top of that, even if you got infected, the vaccine will decreases the severity of your symptoms and decreases your risk of developing complications, needing hospitalization and death. And this is why it's important to get vaccinated.
Hi, Dr. Hasuna. Thank you for your time today. I am Julian Sanders, and I'm sure many members of our community are wondering, for those who have contracted the COVID-19 virus, do you still recommend receiving the vaccine? And then after receiving the vaccine, what are some safety measures you recommend to continue reducing the spread?
Yes, definitely. I do recommend that, and for a lot of reasons. While COVID-19 infection will offer you some immunity against the virus, however, there's still uncertainty about how much and how long will this immunity last. And this is why you can still get reinfected. Now, the current estimates that we have that the infection may provide some immunity up to 3 months, but after that, you might still get infected. The vaccine will augment this protection, and this will provide you with more durable and longer response. And this is why it's still important to get vaccinated. Up until we get most of the society vaccinated, we still have to practice social distancing, wear our masks, sanitizer, hand washing, up until we get most of our society under control and we get this pandemic under control.
Awesome. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Good morning, Doctor. My name is Brian. My question is, how safe are the vaccines and what about the uncertainty of the long-term side effects?
Hi, Brian. Currently, the research to date does show that the vaccines are safe and have a very good safety profile. Now, those vaccines that are currently available in the US have been tested in clinical trials on thousands of patients, and currently millions have received them. And although those vaccines were relatively developed quickly, however, none of the safety measures were skipped in authorizing those vaccines. Moreover, the CDC and the FDA continue to have measures in place to ensure safety of those vaccines in real world after those clinical trials. Now, when it comes to long-term effects, well, the answer is still, we do not know because those vaccines are new. However, what's important to note is that the technology that those vaccines were developed are not new. And those platforms have been used in the past in multiple different scenarios without any long-term effects been described to be unsafe. Now, and there is data, the data right now does support that the risks of getting COVID-19 infection and the complications from it outweigh any potential safety risks from the vaccines itself. And this is why it's recommended to take them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for answering our questions today.
Thank you guys for being here and asking me to answer those.